Hello, my lovelies! This is Jenny from Jenny's Fun Facts. We just want to take a moment to thank you so much, P Eats Meal Preps, for sponsoring our episodes. New menu out every Friday, ordered by Sunday, delivered fresh by Tuesday, and guess what? They deliver to all Montreal surrounding areas as well. Healthy, fresh, and delivered to your door for free. Add them and our podcast on Instagram at p.eats_P as in Peter, R-E-P as in Peter, S. Thanks, P Eats Meal Preps.
Welcome back to Noon Hour Out of the Box. This is episode 54. We are so grateful for all of you joining us today. Your constant love and support is so appreciated. To our incredible producer, Jenny DeHame, who makes all this happen, a huge thank you to her as well. And to my incredible co-host, good friend, and mentor, Mr. Robert D'Alessio. How are you today, Robert?
As always, I am totally excited. We have a great show, and we've had excellent audience participation in our past shows. We're anticipating the same thing today, so folks, stay tuned. And you're welcome, as always, to bring on your comments and ask questions. We're there for you. And also, on Esther's behalf, I would like to thank all of the TikTok audience that has tuned in as well. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you everybody for tuning in. So watch that banner right there. It says feel free to ask questions. Do that at any time. So Esther, to start off the show, this is episode 54.
Yes, it is. And I am so excited to talk about this particular subject, work-life balance. Now, this is an issue that a lot of us experience, and though sometimes we are in complete denial of it, it is something much more common than we are led to believe. And I know for myself, in my 30s and 40s and 50s, I was probably very guilty of having issues with work-life balance. And at the time, I don't believe that I knew that there was an issue going on, but I have to say that I had a tendency to be a workaholic, that I had the tendency to focus more on work instead of other areas in my life. And I think as a result, things suffered, and even my own, areas of self-care suffered as well. And it's more, prevalent when we are younger. I think as we age, we realize that, other things are just as important. But, in our 30s and 40s, we're in that sort of rush to succeed and a rush to, to make it. And over time, though, that does change. And I know, Robert, you experienced some issues with work-life balance. Why don't you tell us about it?
Yes, as a matter of fact, there was a time when I was much younger, but today I don't think I could do that. But sometimes, look, I'll give you an example. Like on Tuesdays, I go into the car dealership. Then I come back and I do pre-interviews for Rob's Inner Circle or for the following Monday. And then I go drive a bus till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. So I'm still as crazy as I was. So back in the day, I'm talking like a few years ago, I owned a car dealership with my brother. And I would be there easily between 7 and 8 in the morning. We would open at 9. I would be there to get the garage ready, to get all the things going, to get the mechanic on track, cars that had to be delivered. And I would leave at 3 o'clock from the dealership. And thankfully, it was close to my other job as a city bus driver. The garage was not far away. I'd hop onto the bus from 3:30 to 10:30.
Wow.
So those long hours, I would get home. I would travel by bus as well. I would get home like basically at midnight. So there's, not much family time and all that. Yes, there was a little bit of neglect on my part. But then again, what was happening is that because I had such a high lifestyle, I didn't have a choice to have the other job to keep up with it. And also, it's not only that. If you want to go out to a restaurant, you want to go away for a weekend, go away on a family trip, just the city bus job, that the bus driver wasn't enough. So I needed that extra income. And that's what permitted us to have these activities when we could have the activities that we were having. So all that to say is that while it was fun, this extra income coming in, it did harm the family life in a way because I was never there. And it was thrown in my face. You're never there. But then again, it's a catch 22. I'm never there because again, this extra income so we could have
Exactly.
joyful times. So I went through that and I was exhausted and I went through a burnout, by the way.
Yes, so I was going to bring that up. How do you think that working all those hours and devoting so much time to work and not enough to family, but then again, you're also not devoting enough me time, how did it affect your health?
Well, it affected my health. Look, I was getting palpitations. I wasn't getting enough
Wow.
sleep. I would have like layoffs at the end of the line on the bus, like maybe 10 minutes. I would spend like running literally to the bathroom and getting back on the bus and getting that 5-minute nap before I would take off again, and it was like really, really difficult. It was really hard. A lot of times I was like questioning myself, is this what my life is all about? Why am I here? Is it just to work? Where's time to have fun? So I went through a burnout. I had to take time away from the car dealership and the buses at the same time because I was under workers' compensation.
Oh, really?
You can't be, at your regular job, the unionized job, the government job, and be working somewhere else because you're getting some compensation. You get caught doing that and you lose your job. So I had to be off at both places. So at that point, I was suffering not only from emotional distress, but the money wasn't coming in as much anymore. So, it was like a catch 22. It was very difficult. It took me about a couple of months to get out of the rut. But
Wow.
then when I was back on my feet again, I was right at it again.
Yeah, Michael Roberts says he understands your story. And, Robert, I understand your story as well. And I'm curious, what did burnout look like for you?
Well, burnout is what happens is that you're just not able to function anymore. I mean, nothing is funny. Nothing is fun.
Wow.
If I'll give you an example, you go in an orchard, you look at all those beautiful apples. Usually when you're in a good mood, oh, wow, look at the beauty of all this and all that. It's just like everything is ugly. You don't care. You see people holding hands, a couple kissing, and they're in love and all that. You go, oh, look at them. It's as if you want to destroy the whole world. You want to bring everybody down with you. Even food doesn't taste the same. You lose your appetite. You lose your will to live. It's an awful feeling to get into. It's really, really, really bad.
So I'm curious, what is the difference? And before we read what Don has to say, I'm just curious what the difference is between burnout and depression.
Yeah, I think
Intertwine.
it had because it's first it's the depression. The depression is like you lose a lot of self-esteem. Okay,
Right.
you don't. Can I say you don't? Depression is like you don't have that drive to do things anymore. A burnout is just like your switch is like totally off. It's like if you had a little bit of a drive during your depression of getting some things done, well, the burnout is just going to kill that. You just don't have any drive anymore to do that. And it's good to get psychological help because it's not easy. It's nothing that you can do on your own. It's good to be surrounded by good people,
I agree.
by good friends, and watch some funny stuff on TV because
Watch
eventually
Noon Hour Out of the Box.
there you go. Esther, Don Emilio, I know Don Emilio a little bit. By now he's getting impatient. Are you going to read my comment?
Yeah. So here's what I learned when I turned 60, says Don. Live within your means. Do not indebt yourself just to keep up with the Joneses. Conclusion: do you want to be the richest or the oldest guy in the cemetery? Bravo, Don. I love that. Yes, exactly. Exactly. So, you have to weigh the pros and the cons, and, you have to have absolutely that balance. Thank you, Jenny. Yes, please feel free to share your stories with us today. I'm wondering, Robert, do you think it's different between men and women? Is there a gender difference with work-life balance? Because on the one hand, the man feels, or traditionally, or certainly back when we were in our early 20s and 30s. That seemed to be more the norm. But over time, I think the expectations for women changed as well. So women were supposed to be, the mother and do, probably more around the home, even though we'd like to think we like these days, we like to keep it balanced. There's still that tendency, and have a profession or career and be successful. Do you think that it's changed? Do you think now the women have it just as a difficult a time with that work-life balance, because now they're not only taking on certain duties that they had before, but in addition, now they're seeking careers, being entrepreneurs, etc.?
I think, you know what? This is my perspective. I may be wrong. I think it may be worse for a woman
Yeah.
for some odd reason. And look, I'm going to give you an example. I have a couple, they're friends of ours. The woman's depressed. I go,
Really?
for God's sake, what the hell is your problem? You know, the woman comes from a background that wasn't very favorable, abused physically, verbally, always put down, was never told that she was loved, never told that she's worth something, that she's good at something. And she's in a relationship who's got the total opposite. She doesn't have to worry about that anymore. She's not in debt anymore. She's never been healthier financially. She's got all of the food she can possibly, have craved back in the days, eating shrimp, all of the best food, going out to restaurants, going out getaways in the weekends. She's depressed. Esther, help me.
So, Robert, what
I
you're telling
understand.
me is it's different. When people have experienced abuse of any kind, and obviously there's a long history there. There's post-traumatic stress that is it becomes part of you. And so it's not what's going on in her life right now. It is something that's ingrained in her because of her past experiences. And it's very difficult, even though your life might be going well, it has affected her significantly within. And this individual should probably seek help, because, and that's the other thing, Robert, there's two separate issues here we're talking about. We're talking about work-life balance and burnout, and then there's also depression. And though they seem to go hand in hand or seem very similar, there are definite differences, whereas burnout is a direct effect of trying to do it all, and then just there's only so much we can do. We're only human, and we burn out physically, emotionally, etc. And the feelings that we have are similar to that of depression, but depression is another animal, and it could be either something past trauma, and sometimes it's chemically there's a chemical involvement where we have a chemical imbalance. So, serotonin and dopamine, and there's issues with that as well. So, I'm not an expert in that area, but I have a little bit of an idea. And I think that sometimes people get depressed even when things are going well. And it's so hard to understand. And sometimes that has to be explored as well. So this individual perhaps could use some type of therapy, and maybe they may even need some sort of, medicinal help in that area as well. It's hard to say, but work-life balance is an issue. I'm just wondering, in the last 2 years, when we spent a lot of time at home, and we went from 20% of the workforce working from home to 70 to 80% of the workforce working at home. If there was a difference in work-life balance, did it make it easier to balance the two out, or in fact, did it make it more difficult because work is always around us? If you have your laptop in your living room, so work is always there staring you in the face, or because you're saving on time getting to work and having lunch and getting home, and all that time is saved to be more with your family or loved ones. So what do you think about that? Do you think that caused more of an issue with work-life balance, or less? What's your opinion?
Okay, let me think this over a little bit. That's a great, smart, well thought out question, Esther. And I know you're not putting me on the spot. This is like,
No, I'm curious.
I don't know. Well, first of all, look, before I go any further, I do want to mention that someone who's constantly depressed, you take a couple that someone is like constantly depressed, and you take the other, the positive, the negative and the positive. Always in a good mood. Everything is nice. Everything is beautiful. And the other one, everything is ugly. And what happens is that negativity after a while, it starts eating away at you.
Yes, yes, of course.
And then after a while, it becomes a burden. It's like, okay, like, like, hey, I gotta take a walk or something, because it's like very, very hard to handle after a while. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, it's a month you've been in the state. Like, can you, like, at least try to be happy today? And I understand when you're talking about the medication and all that, but you also have to look at the other side. It's the person who is the receiving end of this. You got to be very strong. You got to be very strong. And to go back to what we just think about COVID, people working at home.
Do you think that it helped or hurt work-life balance?
I think in a certain way, while people were at home, it did help in a certain way, because no boss knows exactly, like, between 10:05 and noon, if you went to the bathroom and you had like a glass of orange juice, if you helped your daughter a little bit with the homework and all that. Yeah, it helped in that sense. It helped a lot. But then again, you know what? At the end of the day, if you get the work done, let's say if you don't finish at 5, whatever work you do, and you go have supper, come back, and you finish at 7, the work is done. Who cares anyway, right? So it did help in a way to bond families in a certain sense. On the other hand, it may have hindered, because when people spend too much time together, when you take a couple, they're always together. After a while, you're going to start getting on each other's nerves, like it or not. And the other thing is that people, they become accustomed to this new lifestyle of being at home. And like you said, you get up in the morning, you don't have to face your colleagues or what have you. You get up in the morning, your hair is a mess. Who cares? You get right out of bed, make yourself a coffee. 10 minutes later, you're sitting in front of the computer and
Yes, and you could be wearing your pajamas and your hair, and you could even turn the camera off. I know there was a lot of pros, there's a lot of cons. A lot of people are going back to work.
And that's what I think can trigger some depressions right now, because people got accustomed to a certain lifestyle. And I'm going to give you an example. It's noon, and you can have that glass of wine or two if you want. Who cares, right? The boss is not going to be there. He's not going to see what you're doing.
There's that as well. Yeah. I hear you.
So, the new lifestyle that we got accustomed to, as much as it was hard getting into it, and it's like you get accustomed to that, you start developing some kind of a, you get accustomed to it. And then all of a sudden you have to change back and go back to work again. Don't forget, you're saving on bus passes. You're saving on fuel on your car, the wear and tear of your vehicle, the gas that it takes to go to work. You're saving quite a bit of money, and you have a better lifestyle. And you can get up one morning, if you feel like, get up at 7, and you can start working. You finish at 3. You got the work done. Who cares?
Yes, you had a banner up before where Jenny wrote something about a new law due to COVID about calling. Yeah, so thank you, Jenny. There is actually a law now that is in effect that your company can't call you after hours because of COVID burnout. Now, that's interesting. I did not know that. That's wonderful. Because, people tend to do that, and even though I have worked for myself for a very, very long time, and then for a while I had a store with someone, so I wasn't, I didn't have to, report to someone per se. I actually kind of reported to myself or reported to my clients. Like, they were kind of my boss, so to speak, even though I really didn't have a boss. There was, there was this difficulty with tuning out after hours. In other words, if somebody was looking to purchase something, or there's something that they needed for a party, because I was selling fashion accessories, I would have to accommodate at all hours, all the time, weekend, evenings. People needed gifts. People needed something for the next day, or they just felt that they wanted to purchase a few things, and I had to allow it to happen. So not only did I have a store and do pop-ups, but I had people who just wanted to purchase things at all different hours. So I was always available, So to be when you are in a partnership or in a relationship, the other individual has to understand that that's part and parcel of what you do. What I do requires me to be available at any time. So there's difficulty in that as well. And yes, it does cause, interestingly enough, because of the lockdown and the pandemic occurring when it did, I actually got to rest from all that and actually pivoted what I did. I no longer I sort of gave up the business and did other things, and it felt like a big relief of sorts because I was no longer like sort of a slave to my business, which is what I was. I was always on call, and it does cause difficulty. Certainly, um, when I was younger with my kids, that oh, mommy's going, I have to go to someone's place because they need a bunch of gifts, or they're having a party and they want me to bring all my goods, and I'm just always available for others.
Well, there's also, you make me think of something. I know some folks, they have their, in French, it's called a commerce, a store. They have
Yeah.
the store and they live right upstairs.
Yes. Oh my God, that was so common years ago. But yes, people still do that.
Can you imagine? Because after a while, they become friends, right? The customers, and there's a family, and there's whoever shows up and all that. So it's like 5 o'clock on a Saturday, you've closed. People show up. Hey, yeah, I need the jackhammer and all that. You're closed, right? People got the the undecency to go up to you, knowing that you might want to spend some time with the family. They go see you because they need some sort of a certain item in the hardware store, and they expect you to open up and get that for them.
Yeah. So it's yeah, especially dependers, corner stores, they live upstairs. That's very true, Jenny. Thank you. That's true as well. And that still exists to this day. It was something that was more common, maybe 30, 40, 50 years ago, but it is, it's still around today. And yes, depending on the industry that you're in, depending on your business, there are some that require you to be available at all times, and that does interfere with your work-life balance. So, Robert, we have some interesting slides here. And if you
By all
could
means.
tell us, what is work-life balance?
So let's start the party off over here. So, like you said, what is work-life balance? Work-life balance is the state of equilibrium where a person equally prioritizes the demands of one's career and the demands of one's personal life.
Yes, indeed. So some of the common reasons that lead to a poor work-life balance includes increased responsibilities at work, working longer hours, absolutely, increased responsibilities at home, and having children.
Well, one thing is for sure, any couple who thinks that having children is going to bring them any closer, because now that we have mentioned that, they're all wrong, because no, it doesn't bring you any closer. You have to have a very strong relationship before you have kids, because it's very trying. All of a sudden, the man's or the woman's needs become secondary. It's all about the child. So if you think having children is going to bring your couple together, you're wrong.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest life changes when they have a list of the 10 major life changes that affect you. Having a child is definitely in the top 5. So yes, it does can make or break relationships sometimes.
Why is work-life balance essential? Because research shows that beyond a certain number of hours, employees actually don't produce anything more, but the impact to their health increases dramatically. Workaholics and those who struggle to practice self-care find themselves at higher risk for burnout, fatigue, and stress-related health issues.
Yeah, absolutely. So the harmful impact of an unbalanced work-life dynamic. Poor work-life balance can have a far bigger impact than just skipping the gym. One study found that the risk of stroke is higher in people that work more than 55 hours a week. The same amount of work hours are also associated with a higher risk of anxiety and depression, which we spoke about. And even when adjusting for fairly normal sleep patterns, another study found that working longer hours correlated with a decline in physical health.
5 tips for better work life balance. Number 1, examine your situation. Think about what your most important values are and how you want to spend your time. Number 2, manage other people's expectations. Number 3, take care of your health. Number 4, learn to say no. And that's one thing I have a problem with.
I hear you.
Number 5, plan fun activities for your personal time, which is very, very essential. Yes, a lot of people forget about themselves. And it's unfortunate, and it leads to all of these health issues. So, yeah, it's very, very important to take care of yourselves. And it's also very important that we do break for this program identification.
You're tuned into Noon Hour Out of the Box.
Folks, thank you very much to all of you who are tuning in. A big hello to the TikTokers on Esther's side who are tuned in. Esther, tell us how many of the TikTokers are tuning in. If they have any comments, if they have any questions, let's take a quick peek at what's going on with the
Yeah, right
TikTokers.
now there's about 4. There was 5 a minute ago, and they're just hopping in and hopping out and saying hello, and they're just listening. So there's a couple of them who are actually been here the entire time. So that's amazing, and they're actually interesting. And if they have anything to contribute, I'm just going to turn the camera around. Hey guys, if you have anything to contribute, we'd love to hear from you. Yeah, that would be amazing to hear what they have to say as well. Many of the followers that I have are based in the US, so I'd love to hear their perspective on things.
And also, I would like to shout out to all of the Facebookers on my end of my personal page who have tuned in. Facebook, LinkedIn, and the Bobby Short Shorts YouTube channel, Esther's Breeze YouTube channel, and on my personal Twitter page. Esther and I are going to be experimenting with something. We're not going to tell you what it is. It's going to be a surprise.
Yeah, that should be fun.
It should be like really, really, really cool. Folks, don't be shy to come in and put up your comments up there. Share your experiences with us. Don't be shy. We promise you we won't tell anybody whatever you say.
Just all the people who are watching, but don't worry, they won't tell anyone. Yeah, tell us about your experience with having difficulty with work-life balance or having success with work-life balance. And I think part of it, Robert, I think one of the things you mentioned in some of the tips, I think it is important to maybe even make a list of all the things you need to get done and all the things you want to do, and make that list have some, chores that are work related, and things that are related to your own personal life to make sure that you get things done. And I think in addition, and you said that you suffer from this, I do as well, the ability to say no. And that is something that a lot of people have difficulty with because you don't want to disappoint. But the fact of the matter is you have to take care of yourself first. Imagine, Robert, when you're in a plane and, and they're having difficulties, or there's some danger impeding, that the first thing they want you to do is to, take the air and put it on themselves. And then the child, when they say, what's the first thing to do? The first thing you have to do is take care of yourself. First thing you have to do is pull it from the top and give yourself the air so that you could take care of others, so you could be there, especially when you have a family. And this is another thing in addition, as a woman who was an entrepreneur and who had a family, definitely self-care was of the utmost importance and was sometimes difficult to adjust. I think that as I got older, I'm talking from personal experience, I learned to do that better. I look at photos of myself when I was in my 30s and early 40s, and I was a disheveled mess. Oh, wow. Like you can see it physically. I was very overweight. My hair was frizzy. I wore glasses. You wouldn't even know it was me. And then I woke up and wait a minute, I still exist. I have to take care of myself. I need to be happy. And, I start to take care of myself and, physically, emotionally, and it made a huge difference. So it's important to, what do our audience members do for their downtime to ensure balance? Yes, we'd love to hear from you guys. Please don't be shy. This is part of what we do. We're here for you. This is our goal, is to help you guys. We talk about our own experiences, but we also Part of our mission is also to be informative and to help others learn from what we've gone through or some of the things we've researched. We're here to have fun, but we're also here to educate a little, and we want to hear what you guys have to say.
Well, I'm going to share something with you and the with the audience, Esther.
Okay, can't wait.
I'm retired, Esther. I'm retired.
Okay.
I was tired yesterday, and today I'm tired again.
So you're retired.
And I'm going to tell you
And
why.
I fell into that one once again.
I'm going to tell you why, because you'd think, you'd learn from your past patterns, whatever you were doing and all that. I was working 80, 90 hours a week. Yeah, I'm retired, and now I have 3 jobs.
Yeah.
I'm working more now than when I was working the 90 hours, believe it or not. What am I doing? I'm driving a bus for a living, an airport bus, a shuttle. I work at the airport, not Montreal, the St. Hubert Airport.
Right.
And I have to work at a car dealership that's like maybe once every 2 weeks, but now things have been picking up, so I'm there a little bit more often, as if that's not enough. I have the noon hour to the box broadcast with you. Rob's Inner Circle broadcast every Monday. Pile of Bob is on its way. We got Seriously Live. And by the way, folks, you guys cannot miss our Seriously Live coming up this upcoming Saturday, July 2nd. We're going to be at Scotty's Bar, located at 3979 Taschereau Boulevard in the city of St. Hubert. Our good friend and co-host of Daily Struggles, Art Leduc, is the front man of Rockhead. His band and himself are going to be performing at 9:30. But we're going to be having a live show just before he goes live. And folks, so why don't you come and join us? Come and, hang out with us. We're going to be having a meal there just before the show. We're going to be going live. You guys will probably get a couple of selfies with Esther, Jenny, and myself, and whoever else we're going to have as a guest speaker on there. So it's going to be really great. And my last podcast is a French podcast that I haven't done in a little while. Thank God, because that lightens the workload a little bit. Le Cercle Vicieux Above, which would be the French version of Rob's Inner Circle. So am I busy, Esther?
You're very busy, but Robert, when you are busy doing things you love, it doesn't feel like work. So I know some of this you absolutely love. I know you love the podcasting and broadcasting. So though, yeah, it's time intensive and it is definitely work. You love it. So that's important. When we do things we love, it feels like we're just having fun, and it makes a huge difference. When we're at a job that we dislike, it's different. And that is problematic.
Before I throw this question at you, dear audience members, make your comments, share your story with us, and ask your questions. I'm going to throw something at you, Esther. I mean, we all have to work. We all have to work. We don't have a choice. We have to earn a living. And we're doing a job that we absolutely hate. Mm-hmm. Esther, how do we get up in the morning and put up that fake smile, and we're able to go work and earn our living and give the boss his 100% that he expects from us, all the while taking home a paycheck? How can you go to work to a job that you absolutely hate? You drag your feet to get there. How do you live with that?
I don't. I wouldn't do it. I would find something. I would find something that would make me happier. I would not live my life like that. I refuse to, unless it's an inordinate, if it's a huge amount of money, then I would have to rethink it. But otherwise, I wouldn't do it. I care too much about my psychological health and my well-being, and I will not do that. I think when I was younger, I would have given in to that, and I feel like it's giving in. But I refuse to work at something that I hate. Like, really? Why? Why do that to yourself?
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessary. There are other jobs out there that you will not hate, that maybe you're okay with. But to be in a job you hate, no, just get out. Why do that to yourself? You have to have some self-love and self-respect. Yes, go on.
Exactly. Especially right now, aren't we in a beautiful place, Esther? Because there is a shortage of manpower out there. They're looking for people everywhere. So you don't like your job. True. Hey, guys, It's very easy wherever you go. You go to the restaurant, you go to the local hardware store, you go to the grocery store, you go to even your local garage. They're looking for people for work. And right now, because there's so much competition out there, wages are even better. The competitive wages have come into the picture right now. You can actually negotiate. Hey, I want 3 or 4 days off paid, in case I'm sick, whatever. You can actually go in there and negotiate something we haven't seen in a long time. So this is a lot of fun. The worker is in a good place right now. I'd hate to
You're
be an
right.
employer.
You're right. I have heard about that. So that's true. I mean, depending on the type of work you're talking about. There's also lots of jobs that are still difficult to get, and some people still struggle. But yes, jobs like that are probably more in abundance now than it ever has. And Jenny says apparently McDonald's will even give you phone to work with them. Like, what the heck? Oh, really? Just like time to work at McDonald's. I had no idea. That's so interesting.
And all of that food you can get. Okay, I'm going to tell you something. I worked at McDonald's like many, many years ago. Many moons
Really?
ago. I was a
Wow.
teenager. And look,
Okay.
I don't know if it's the same now, but I remember that they would make a whole bunch of hamburgers like ahead of time. And I think it's after 10 minutes when the hamburger doesn't go, they throw it away. So
Really?
I was the guy taking care of the lobby, taking care of the maintenance. And what would I do? Well, those hamburgers, they're still good, right? So I would take special care and put them in a special corner, bring the chariot to the compactor to throw away all the garbage, but I would place those hamburgers and the fish fillets in a very safe area. And what I would do is I would actually eat the things.
Oh, come on.
They're being thrown away and they're still good. They're still warm. They're not warm enough. They're still good. One time the manager was looking for me because I was wolfing down I can still remember, it was a quarter pounder and it was a Big Mac. And he comes in and he sees sauce all over my face and I'm chowing down a hamburger. I got in trouble for that because
Well, I could understand why. My goodness.
you're supposed to throw it away. Come on. I told the guy, look, why don't we give this to poor people or something? I'm poor, you know. I have to work here. I'm poor. I was getting like $3.17 an hour back in the day.
That was minimum wage, yes. And now we're close to $15 an hour here in Quebec, Canada.
And I
So,
remember they have these evaluations. I don't know if it's still there. I think it's after every 3 months. If you're an average employee, you get a 10-cent raise. If you're a great employee, you get a 15-cent raise. And if you're an absolutely exceptional employee, 20-cent raise.
wow, that's huge.
So when I was invited to step down from the position because I had three things that happened. Once I came in late. Another time I came in, I wasn't shaved, and the other time
God.
I think I came in late again. Whatever. I left and I was getting like $4.29 an hour.
Wow, you hit the big time.
Well, geez, I opened up a business with that. Are you kidding?
Yeah. That's a lot of moolah, a lot of moolah.
Especially like 12 hours a week. Yeah, $4.29 an hour. That'll pay the bills, right?
I think these days there is so much more opportunity, and I'm going to tell you from a perspective of a content creator. A lot of let's say Gen Z and even some millennials spent an enormous amount of time online creating content. Some of them have even become what they call influencers, and they actually took something that they loved doing, they just did for fun, and they actually learned to monetize it, and they earn a living. And there are some that are making enormous amounts of money, and so that's something that we never experienced growing up, and that now these younger generations have that ability to monetize on many different social media platforms. And so that's something that's interesting. I've started a little bit myself, and it's so interesting to be able to make money to make a video that you put on TikTok, like, oh, okay. So that's where you're taking something that you really enjoy, that you have fun doing, and you can actually earn some money doing it as well. So interesting how the world has changed. And, kudos to those who are able to do that and to monetize on that. And, so that's an example of where people are actually making money from what they love doing. Of course, there are many other examples, like, people who actually are working actors or singer songwriters, performers, etc., who actually earn a living. They are the fortunate ones. I mean, they have burnout in their own way at times, but at least they're doing what they love.
Absolutely. And you, my friend, are an influencer yourself, and you're doing
Yeah.
pretty well. You came up with, I know I mentioned this a couple of shows ago, but you came up with this phrase that was just like so innocent looking, and you got like hundreds of thousands of views, if not in the millions. Age is not my cage. Esther, work life balance, and you found some time to do that in your schedule again with the work life balance. How did you go about coming up with this age is not my cage? And did you expect to be where you are today with this? And is this like a surprise? And how did all this happen?
So that was actually, to be quite honest, last August, I got really into a couple of the, platforms online. And one of them in particular was TikTok. Hi there to all our TikTok live watchers. And really, it was just for entertainment purposes. For some reason, I got really addicted to scrolling. Like I just got into it became my entertainment. I don't know why. It just happened. I had a little bit of activity on there, not much. I had like 70 people following me. I had been there like a year. I didn't do much with it. And I sort of inadvertently sort of picked up the kind of rhythm of what worked and what didn't work. But I wasn't totally aware of it. And then one day, honest to God, Robert, and this was another show, my ADD kicked in. We did have a show on that. And I just decided to make a little video. And I played with filters and I talked about, people expect me to look like this being 64, but in fact, I look like that. And age is not my cage. I had heard someone once say, my age is not my cage. So I just took away the my and I sort of made it a tagline. And for some reason, it really resonated with people and it kind of exploded. And I think there's a lot of reasons for that. One of them is the visual. First 3 seconds, you sort of grab people's attention and then you have a surprise ending that sort of like kind of works, and it's like 7 to 12 seconds long and blah, blah, blah. These are things that I inadvertently picked up just by scrolling and watching and paying attention. But I think it also resonated with people because the fact that we are aging up. Our population is older. There are a lot of us baby boomers out there, and we're still pretty healthy, wealthy, and wise. And I think we're a forgotten demographic, but in fact, we're very vital. And many of them are on all these platforms, and people don't realize that. So it just resonated. It resonated with people, and it kind of works. And who knew? That's what happened.
Well, congratulations. You're doing well with that. And I am sure that somehow influenced the people who want to be influencing. And that's how you're getting all these, jobs on internet, presenting all these products
Collaborations,
and all
yeah,
that.
a few, yeah, yeah, but it's because it's sort of a forgotten demographic, and then realize that like, oh, we're looking for women who are 50 and 60, and to represent our brand, and and it's fairly new, so I sort of got lucky that I got in there in the right time. And now you see more and more people in of that community online, actually, as opposed to even 6 months ago.
Where can people find that your age is not my cage and all these beautiful
Oh my
videos you're
God,
making?
thank you. I feel like it's like a
It's
Esther
time to
Brzezinski show. So obviously on TikTok, on Esther Brzezinski, Instagram Estieb, ESTIEB, on Facebook as Esther Brzezinski. On my Facebook, I have a creator profile, so you can find me there. It's open to everyone. And and I'm on Twitter as well, ESTIEB, and LinkedIn as Esther Brzezinski. I mean, most of what I do though is on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook.
You're all over the place.
Yeah, I repurpose my videos. That's what I do. I just
Well,
put them everywhere.
that's fantastic. So Esther, look, continued success to you with all
Thank
that.
you,
Wow,
Robert. I appreciate
so
you
happy
talking
for you.
about it. Thank you.
And folks, Esther's got I'm not going to say anything. Let's get all together and send out positive thoughts for Esther. She's got a big audition today, so let's hope it works out.
Oh my
Let's hope
God.
it works. I'm not saying what it is, Esther, but let's
Okay.
hope
Okay.
that it works out. And here we go. Here's Don Emilio Zeno. Esther, the honor is yours to read it.
So Don says, unfortunately, most people measure other people by their looks, financial status, etc., and should rather evaluate them by their human contribution. Right on, Don. You are so correct. So very correct. But that is unfortunate.
This conversation has me thinking, and
Oh, good.
what caused what?
Don't
Well,
hurt yourself. Just kidding.
that is the whole basis of the show, right? They got people thinking here,
Right, because we're out of the box, right?
and when you got your co-host thinking that, well, that's good.
Yeah.
I think what triggers workaholism,
Yeah.
one of the reasons is someone may be very unhappy at home.
That's part of it. That's one of the reasons for some people that they throw themselves into work so that they don't have to deal with what's going on outside of work. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me.
And if you're a bus driver, you don't want to throw yourself. If you want to work a lot, don't throw yourself under the bus. You have to throw yourself over the bus.
Right. That's funny. I'm laughing on the inside.
Like all the millions of fans are all of the audience members out there.
Yeah.
How are
funny.
we doing on TikTok, Esther? Any questions coming in? Any comments?
Just a lot of smiles and peace and applauds. And right now there's 4 people who are watching. And there is one individual who's been here the whole time, like I said before. So
who is he? Identify him.
I can't see. It's very interesting the way that it's set up, but I will let you guys know later who that individual is. Yes.
Good on you. Congratulations. And thank you
for tuning in.
This is great, guys. Listen, we got some time left. Go ahead. Don't be shy. Put up your comments. Share your stories with us. Ask questions. Don't be shy. Like I said, we won't tell anybody.
I'm curious as to whether you find, because we have grown children, and do you think that they also suffer from work-life balance difficulties? Do you see that in your grown children as well? Because it's something we experience, but we are in a different generation. I'm just curious, your own interpretation of what you see from your children being of a different demographic.
Right now, because of this pandemic we got out of, thank God, is that everything's exploded in gas prices and all that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right now, so the couple is working. They were working already, to make ends meet. And, if at that point they were a little tight, it's even tighter right now. So they probably each have to go get an extra job. And again, the work-life balance, it becomes unbalanced somewhere because they have to work more to keep up with the higher demands.
Yeah, that's true.
So that doesn't help either.
And then of course when they have children, the changes that they experience and again work-life balance. I mean, usually you'll see both members of the couple who are working and have careers, and one of them stays at home to take care of the child. The balance changes in a way, and then they're expected to go back to work, and that's difficult because when I had my children, I actually made the decision and I was able to stay at home. And then once my kids got to be out of elementary school, basically as I started a business. So I was fortunate to have that. So Jenny says, I know kids that suffer from insomnia. Oh, whether it's due to work, life balance is to be determined. That's interesting. That is, I could see that. And I also blame, the one thing we were talking about that I do have a love for, all the platforms and social media, etc. But also the addiction to the phone, which was another episode, can also cause insomnia because they go to bed with their phones. I mean, I know my own kids do that. They go to bed with their iPad, with their phones, and they try to fall asleep while they're scrolling or watching something. And it does affect your ability to sleep. Absolutely.
There's something scientific behind that. Something.
Yeah. There's something about the light of the phone or pad that you use. Yeah. There's some sort of blue light or something that causes problems with sleep or causes sleep disturbances. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it goes to your brain and unbalances something, some kind of a chemical unbalance, and because of
I'm
the
I'm
light
not
coming
really
from
sure,
there.
but I know that it affects sleep patterns and sleep, in total. So yeah, it is an issue.
And that reminds me of back in the day when we had those televisions the Flintstones had, the black and white TV with the rabbit ears.
Yeah, yeah.
I can remember, and it just reminds me of that when I was a kid, I was like really sit really close up to the TV, and my parents
Yes, we all did that.
they'd be yelling at me, "Don't get away from the TV! It's no good for your eyes. It's no good for your eyes." And it's like you're looking at, you tell kids that today, they're gonna like laugh at you. What, are you serious? Apparently, the big tube was giving off some kind of I don't know, kind of waves or something that would be harmful for you. I don't know. Did you
It's
ever hear?
funny, but I used to also sit right in front of the TV. I remember just sitting on the floor right in front of the TV. Sometimes we'd have our lunch there or have a snack, and that was the thing. That's what we did. And we had black and white. We never had a color TV until I don't know. I think I was in my early 20s.
Well, I remember when we got our first color TV. There was a switch on the TV. It was an RCA TV. It was like a
Right.
big, it was a small but big thing. Just the back of the TV was this big. The tube, today's like paper thin. Anyways, the tube was this big, and it had a switch on it, black and white. You could actually go for black and white on it. So before this thing was plugged up, I remember I pushed the black and white button to black and white. And I'm watching the Flintstones. I'll never forget watching the Flintstones. When I pushed that color button, I go, "Oh my God, wow." The difference was humongous.
Yeah, I remember. It is.
How could we have done without color television for all these years? Can you imagine we'd be black and white right now, Esther,
I'd be fine with
on our
that.
show? This beautiful orange we have, you can't even appreciate it. It'd be like a shady gray, one of the 50 shades of the gray.
So yeah, there's definitely a lot of changes that have occurred over the decades with, of course we're talking about everybody being addicted to the cell phone. And back in our day, our cell phone really was the TV set. And we talk about the changes and, how it went from radio to TV and TV to, computers and computers now to our smaller devices, so things have changed over the generations. But we're all always basically kind of hooked on this little entertainment uh thing. So that's interesting that we seek them out as humans to be entertained one way or another.
One thing's for sure, radio hasn't changed. It's still in black and white.
That's very funny.
And I was
Yeah.
told one time I got a better face to be on the radio than on TV. I wonder
Yes,
why
yes,
that.
I've heard that one as well. That's very funny. So in your perfect world, Robert, if
Mhm.
you were to have your dream job that you think would not interfere with your work-life balance, what would that be?
The dream job that I wouldn't have is everything to do with communications. That would be broadcasting, acting, Pilot Bob, the show with you, Noon Hour of the Box. We have Success and Rob's Inner Circle. It would be like ideal if we, maybe work 2-3 days a week, go like for a, full 2-3 days of intense working. And then afterwards, when we're saying intense working, while we're doing that, we'd be absolutely enjoying what we're doing. And then have maybe 4 days off and just like relax and shut everything off and just like take a breather and enjoy yourself. And have maybe a better dwelling where I have a nice backyard and I have my sangria with my girlfriend, and also booking a trip to Mexico or maybe the Dominican Republic. That's my ideal life. How about you,
Oh,
Esther?
so let's make that happen, Robert. Let's strive towards that so that we could,
Let's do it.
that you could have that healthy work-life balance and have the work that you love. And mine is actually kind of similar in a way that I would like to be doing broadcasting and acting and work, a voiceover work, but also spend time with my family and especially with my new grandson,
Oh,
who I'm like absolutely crazy about. I just want to spend,
Gio.
yeah, Gio, I want to spend more time with him and be a bigger part of his life. So yeah, that's that. Yes, I love what I do. I'd like to do more of it, but at the same time, I also want to spend time with my family and also with my little grandson. So
Folks, you've been a little quiet today. What is it? Are you shy? Is
Yeah.
it the topic? Is it the topic? I'm sure everybody has his or her um, access work bouts. You still have time to share this with us and what your suggestions might be. To overcome such situations where work takes over your life. You have to have, yes, that balance is very, very important. But also, you also have time. You also have to make time to get proper sleep in there and to have at least a half hour break where you stop and you enjoy your meal, that you don't have to run and wolf it down, because these are all things that add up to stress, depression, and burnout. You're eating like while you're on the job, on the fly, whipping it down like in 2-3 minutes. Sandwich stays here, you don't digest it, you're not getting a proper amount of sleep, and these are factors that will contribute to your depression. So you have to make things work. You have to make time, that you have to have that proper sleep. You have to go to bed decompressed. Leave your work problems at work. Take care of your life, take care of your wife, take care of everything you have to take care of. Just let go. Have that glass of wine, tone things down, go to bed, get the proper sleep, and have your 3 meals. Very important. You got to make that balance. That's my advice. Esther, what advice do you give to the audience?
I think it's important to first take care of yourself, and self-care is number one. I think that if you are going to um have a job that entails a lot of work and stress, that at least let it be something that you enjoy doing. If it's something that you hate, it's very harmful to you psychologically and physically. I know sometimes that's difficult, but there are ways to get around it. You can find something that will make you happy, and always make time for yourself and for your loved ones. That is top priority, because in the end, if something, God forbid, ever happens to you, it's not going to be your work that's going to go visit you in the hospital. It's going to be your family and your other loved ones. So they are of utmost priority, and unfortunately, I kind of learned that lesson, and I've seen other people go through that. So, you know, work is just work. Just remember that. And your life that you have, who you are, that should really be priority. And if that becomes difficult, then find a way to plan it out, make a list, make a plan, and make it happen, because your physical and mental health is number one.
Absolutely. Esther, what a fine job you've done co-hosting with me today. I wouldn't want to have anyone else other than
Oh,
you.
that's so sweet. Thank you.
You're
I
a
feel the same way.
Esther, do you have a show coming up this upcoming Thursday?
Yes, I have author Stone Love, who will be there at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Esther's Breeze this Thursday, June 30th. So
That's
do
an
not miss out. She's a fabulous lady, and I can't wait to have a chat with her.
And that's going to be broadcast on your personal Facebook page, on the Esther's Breeze and Bobby Short Shorts YouTube channels. It's going to be a show you don't want to miss. You TikTokers out there, come and tune in to Esther's show. It's going to be a great show. She's going to have a great guest.
Yes, very
On my
excited.
part, this upcoming Monday, I have a Canadian singer-songwriter, Tasha Tillman. She's from Vancouver. The following day, I'm going to have Era Melinda Bocara, a special edition
Wow.
of Rob's Inner Circle. Era
Love
Melinda
her. Yeah.
Bocara, she's a weather specialist. She's on Global right now. She's been on CTV, CBC. She's been on CJAD Radio.
Yeah.
Al Gravel, who was teamed up with her, who was her co-host on the CJAD show she had with him, is going to be tuning in as well. Is going to be our guest as well. So that's coming up this Monday and Tuesday. And this upcoming Saturday, once again, a reminder to you, the Seriously Live team is going to be at it again. The lovely Esther, the amazing Jenny, our producer, and myself, we're going to be broadcasting live from Scotty's Bar, 3979 Taschereau Boulevard in the city of St. Hubert, where our good friend and co-star of the Daily Struggles web series, Art LeDuc is going to be frontmanning his band, his cover band, Rockhead. They play amazing music from the 70s and the 80s, even the 90s. Some tunes like Led Zeppelin, Lynyrd Skynyrd. You got Boston in there. They have a whole bunch of. They have a great set. They're going to be playing with us. So we're going to be interviewing him at 8:30. He's going to be going live at 9:30. In the meantime, we're going to be there having a meal. You can come down and check things out. 3979 Taschereau Boulevard. That's Scotty's Bar. That's in the city of St. Hubert. Come and hang out with us, and you'll be there for the live. Esther, thank you so much for being such an amazing co-host, and Jenny Duhane for being such a wonderful producer. Very talented, both of you ladies. You make this show so much better. And thank you to the TikTokers, to the Facebookers, to the LinkedIners, to the Twitterers. Is that the right way to say that?
I didn't know. I don't. It sounds right.
And our amazing YouTubers for tuning into Noon Hour Out of the Box. We'll be seeing you. Do we have a show next week, Esther? I'm not sure anymore.
I'm a little unsure. We'll talk. We'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it over a coffee.
We'll have coffee and we'll talk.
And we'll talk. Hey guys, thanks so much for tuning in. We'll be seeing you next time. Stay tuned when Esther and I get together for another great show. Bye, everybody.
Ciao for now.
Bye.